Hello and welcome to AppExchange Mavericks. My name is Will Nourse and I'm a Salesforce MVP. As a prior nonprofit CIO, I'm familiar with the difficulty and complexity of managing volunteers and background checks. As a result, I'm really pleased to welcome Katie Zwetzig, Executive Director of Sterling Volunteers. Katie, can you tell us a little bit about Sterling Volunteers as both a company and an application?
Sure, Will. Thanks. We're excited to be here. So back in 2013, we launched as Verified Volunteers. We did rebrand last year as Sterling Volunteers to better align with our company, our parent company, Sterling. But back before we launched, we spent about 9 months working with over 200 nonprofits and surveying about 500,000 volunteers to kind of understand the plight of the volunteer manager, the plight of the volunteer in getting mobilized and volunteering. And we heard stories about compliance concerns, about cost constraints, about volunteer managers who are managing volunteers with yellow stickies and Excel spreadsheets, about volunteers who had just done a background check at one organization and wanted to know if they could share it with this new organization. And so we spent some time in doing this research and then eventually launched a company that was made by nonprofits for nonprofits to kind of work through some of these challenges. And ultimately, we delivered a platform and a product and that service delivery model that has contributions, payment options, sharing and portability, monthly updates and alerts, unique dashboard, and a unique self-service workflow for the volunteer.
Can you tell us what it is that really makes Sterling Volunteers unique as a solution?
It's a self-service platform. The volunteer can go through on their own. It takes them about 3 to 4 minutes. They can make a contribution to pay for the cost of the check in any form that organization wants. It's also a portable background check. So after the volunteer goes through the process, they get a copy just like the organization gets a copy. But that volunteer can take that background check securely and share it with other nonprofits, both within our network and outside of our network. Additionally, we do monthly updates with sex offender and criminal histories, and we will alert both the nonprofit and the volunteer if anything new is uncovered on their background check.
Can you tell us a little bit about the passion that led you to build the platform out beyond just the technical requirements?
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. At the time I was working for a background screening company and I actually walked through our operations group and one individual said, "Katie, I just ran your background check." And somebody sitting behind him said, "I ran your background check a couple of days ago." And I volunteered a lot in my community, still do, and at the time was sitting on the United Way board. And so it was a conversation with the then CEO of United Way of Larimer County where we started discussing this concept of how do you build out communities of vetted volunteers and help to mobilize them faster, reducing the costs and inefficiencies of onboarding volunteers. And ultimately, it was born.
Very cool. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the customers that are having success with the platform?
Yeah, sure, Will. So a couple of customers come to mind. One is a national organization called Pet Partners, and they have a geographically distributed network of volunteers, and they were implementing a new background screening policy and procedure and wanted to do that within their Salesforce CRM. So they wanted something simple that their network could follow, and they also wanted to make sure that they built a compliant solution. And so we were able to implement that with them. They go in their CRM, and they click a button, and it sends the invitation to the volunteer, and the results come back to that organization. One of the things that they've seen a huge benefit of is the sharing capability. So they've been able to receive free background checks from volunteers have come in through other organizations on our platform and share their background check with Pet Partners. The second example is unique in that it's in the disaster sector. So if you think back to our monthly updates and alerts, that actually allows us to have this network of vetted volunteers that is on deck, if you will. And this disaster organization was very, very grateful that they could do bulk uploads and see those background checks and receive those checks to onboard and mobilize their volunteers for disaster's sake.
That's super. Can we actually see the application in action?
Yeah, let's do that. I'd love to show it to you. The Sterling Volunteers app, once installed and configured, is accessible in the app launcher, or the functionality can be added to apps and layouts you are already using to manage your volunteers. Sterling Volunteers uses the standard Salesforce contact record. On the contact record, the Sterling Volunteers app provides a button to initiate a background check. Or instead, you can initiate multiple background checks with just a few clicks using the contact list view. Your organization can choose from multiple background check packages depending on the volunteer's role. Packages can be customized for volunteer roles or for new versus renewing volunteers. Once initiated from Salesforce, your volunteer will receive a Sterling Volunteers email with a unique link to start their background check. Your volunteer will register and submit their background check online. It's easy and secure. Most fields will be pre-populated for the volunteer. The entire process takes only 2 to 3 minutes to complete, and once completed, somebody in your organization can receive notification that the check has been submitted. Background check status and date results are automatically populated onto the volunteer's contact record in Sterling Volunteers app fields. You can also access the background check report right from Salesforce. The app makes it easy to track your volunteers' current and future compliance with your background check policy, all from within Salesforce.
Katie, that looks great. It really would have been a help in my past experience. Thanks so much for sharing a bit about Sterling Volunteers. Can you tell us where we can find more?
Yeah, well, certainly will within the AppExchange. You can find us under Sterling Volunteers or on our website, sterlingvolunteers.com.
Katie, thanks for your time today and for joining us on AppExchange Mavericks. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I wish you the best of success with the application.
Thank you as well, Will. We are really excited about our partnership with Salesforce.